My name is Mitch Benner, and we started this podcast to remove the stigma around sobriety from addiction.
My name is Aaron Nelson. Through our stories and the stories of our guests, we hope to help you find a new path.
Shadow Darkness back at it again. Appreciate y'all listening. Appreciate y'all tuning in. As always, Mitch Benner is here, ready to rock.
Hello.
Today we got a good buddy of mine, Spencer Harrison. How you doing, man?
Good. How are you guys?
Good, man. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, guys.
Spencer's got a lot of really good insight and a lot of things that have helped me, especially recently with this run I had, and just some of the discipline and all the mindset stuff that you have has really carried over me. So really, really special that you're here today. Spencer's got a unique story, a little bit, kind of different from the guests that we typically have, which I think is an amazing perspective. So, man, without further ado, just kind of start wherever you want to, where alcohol came a part of your life and how you kicked its ass.
Okay. So I'll go pretty far back. I'll start because it kind of gives relevance later. So normal childhood, absolutely love my childhood. Grew up in Catholic school till third grade, moved, my parents divorced when they were 6 and then they couldn't afford it anymore. So then I moved into California public school. I loved that experience, diversity, skin color, diversity in income, met a lot of friends. So it was great. So then from there, I guess I'll say I had a dirt bike accident when I was 6, and that's relevant for later, but broke the growth plate, a couple surgeries when I was 6 and 7. Okay. So from there, got into sports, did sports. That was my identity, is sports growing up. My dad was in and out of the picture, all the way through high school for the most part. So we'll just go into high school.
You have siblings? Sorry.
I have a brother. He's 16 months older. Okay. So it was me and him going to see my dad every other weekend. Then you get to middle school, right? And parents aren't cool. So we stopped wanting to go over there and hang out with friends. And I understand now as a dad, but he was kind of upset, right? That we didn't want to hang out with him. So, but he would show up at all of our sports. We were busy in sports, football, 2 teams of basketball. So then we get into high school. Well, actually, I should back that up. I was headed down a wrong road in about 7th grade. We were left home quite a bit. My mom was working 2 and 3 jobs. So from age 9, we would ride the city bus home because we were too far out of city limits to ride the school bus. So we walk home, get ready, get ourselves ready for football, eat. My mom would swing in at 5, pick us up, take us to Pop Warner practice. That was every day. So we were home a lot by ourselves. Didn't have cable, didn't have internet or anything like that. Couldn't afford any of that. But we had friends that did, and they kind of exposed us to certain things on the internet. And that kind of started just a path of curiosity, obviously. So then we get into about into 6th grade, going into 7th, and I had met some friends that were a little older than me and really started getting into smoking weed. That was number 1 in about 7th grade. Was hard. So we did that. I mean, my mom would drop us off down the street for school. We would walk down to the river, meet some buddies, smoke weed there, leave at lunch, sneak off campus at lunch, smoke weed there, smoke weed after school, and drink. We started drinking quite a bit. And the only thing that kept me was basketball. That was it. So that took us did that until sophomore year, playing basketball. My mom was at one, I believe it's a game. After the game, she said, "Is your leg hurt?" I said, "No." She goes, "You're limping. You need to go to the doctor." So I went to the doctor who did my surgery when I was 6, and they did this x-ray and found that my femur was crooked. It was shaped kind of like a C, and it was an inch shorter. Shit. So they had to go in, and I have these holes, had 12 bolts and wires going in and out of my legs, and they had all these halos. It's called the external fixator. Put that on, cut my femur, spaced it out an inch. So then I straightened it and lengthened it. Over 4 months I was in bed and not released back to sports. So right then it was like a hard left. Yeah. Just alcohol, drugs. I worked I've been working since 11 years old. So then of course that fuels it because I have my own money.
Yeah.
So I'm just.
Did your mom know what was going on? You think? Because you started to kind of create these habits a tad bit before all of that happened.
I would, I don't know how she wouldn't. I mean, because you smoke weed, it smells.
Yeah, right.
So if she picks me up after, I would smoke weed and then I'd stay and go to basketball practice, and then she'd pick me up after. So maybe not.
Maybe not.
But her boyfriend of 33 years worked at Fetzer Winery. And so we'd have cases of wine in our garage.
Mm.
And so we would just pound those when we could.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'd steal cigarettes once in a while, you know, like all the dumb stuff. So I would say I don't think she did, but she was also never like a confrontational person. We got old enough. She ran a Native American health clinic. And so she would leave like condoms on our pillow, or I chewed 2 cans a day for probably 6 years. She would leave me packets of mouth cancer, but she would never sit down and have the conversation.
So it was very like, just passive aggressive.
Yeah. And she still is kind of like that, you know, in a way. She doesn't want to bring anything up that.
I feel like my mom's kind of the same way, you know. It's like, especially with boys, dude. Like,
right.
You know. My dad was always a hard ass, and my mom was like, "Oh, I love you."
I know. I tell my boys now, like, they're lucky. I've spanked them, but like I get hit with belts, switches, you know, tree branches,
man.
Like all the time. Like, you guys have it easy, you know. So. But I didn't see my dad a ton during that time. He would still come around, but he made some mistakes, which is what ended up getting the divorce. And he just couldn't admit it and move on. It just ate him alive. And he drank a lot, and he just like excuse after excuse. It probably didn't help my mom move this guy in 6 months after they divorced. And I was a dick to him, to
your mom's boyfriend?
Yeah, which I regret. And now he's passed. He passed last year. But I was a complete dick. Like, you're not my dad. And just constantly yelling. And he'd never wanted to be like the enforcer, because he's like, I'm not your dad.
Yeah, he's like, exactly.
So he didn't know his boundary. My mom should have said, no, you can discipline him. Like, you're the man of the house. But we were punks, man. Yeah. We just did shit and got in trouble. I always had a 22 by my bed. We'd shoot out the back window so we could do that because my mom's house, my grandpa was a developer, sat in his development in the backyard. You open the gate, and that was his, I'm going to say 3,000 acres. So we had vineyard on the front half and then open ranch on the back. Okay. So we were back there. That's why I said we had the greatest childhood. Yeah. We'd just take guns and go.
That sounds easy. Awesome.
There's 12 ponds for irrigation. So we were fishing, all of our buddies. We had like 6 really good neighborhood friends that we grew up with. Go back there and fish and shoot shit. And he'd pick us up hammered. He was a bad alcoholic. Pick us up hammered at like 11 o'clock. We'd go spotlighting, which
this is your grandfather? Was
illegal, but you're protecting the crops. So anything in the vineyard you shoot. Yeah. So, so that was super fun. But anyways, going back to high school, we moved out of sports, took a hard left. I mean, I worked at grocery stores. So it was working like 3 to 10 at night after school. And then we would be up till 2, 3, just drinking cocaine. I stopped smoking weed in high school at freshman because I was like, dude, this makes me laugh and eat. And I don't need help. Either one of those, you know? So I was already like overweight, I was already a fat kid. So I was like, I don't need this anymore. I don't like it. Moved it to alcohol. And I would drink the big glass handles of like the cheap bottom shelf gin. I would take one of those, and I would drink one of those every day and a half. So I'd fill up the 1 liter Sprite bottles, and I'd have one on the way to school when I drove, or my brother drove us, one at lunch, and then one after school, or else I would shake because English class was right after lunch.
This is in high school.
That's high school. Fuck. So I was drinking and then on the weekends I would drink 12, 18 pack of beer every night of the weekend, and then go back to gin during the week. And I just did that for all the way through high school. I got a DUI in between junior and senior year. So that pissed me off more. It didn't stop me. I just drank in the shower because I was on probation. So all my alcohol was hidden in my brother's room because they would come and check your room. So I just secretly drank. And then when I was kind of off probation, I just went back to partying.
Yeah.
My brother would pick me up. I'd be crawling down the middle of the road. I thought I was living like a great life, making money.
Was he down that road too with you? Or?
No, he was like old man.
Really?
He had a girlfriend, so he was hugged up all high school. He was like Mr. Straight and Narrow.
That's how I was in high school too.
Yeah, just like a square. And I'm like, dude, why don't you party? Why don't you do this? And he's like, no.
He's like, I'm good.
Yeah,
exactly.
Dude, probably
He's like, you're doing enough of that.
those idiots you hang around, probably the way I look at people now.
Right.
But he was always there for me, always pick me up, never tell my mom. So yeah, that was bad. So that was all the way through high school. I didn't drive my senior year because my license was taken. So I just got rides everywhere. Just started drinking way more.
Yeah, totally, because you don't have to worry about it.
Right. And still making money, still working. So yeah, I did that through high school. And then a buddy of mine who was a year older in school, stayed in California for one more year to let me graduate. And then we moved to Laramie from California. Yeah. We were super big into working on cars. We thought we wanted to go to Wyotech and do the whole stuff. I had a 75 Chevy that we had a 454 in and take it to mud bogs at the fair. So we were all into that. Moved to Laramie 4 days after I graduated high school. That was a trek back in time. It has nothing what it has now. Like there's nothing up there.
So what year?
2002.
Okay, 2000. Yeah, man,
there's nothing. There's nothing.
that's what you call culture shock, right there.
Very much.
We're in California.
Northern, 2 hours north of San Francisco. Okay. A little farming. I mean, called Ukiah.
Gorgeous. Like that.
It's way different.
Redwoods, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah, dude. Yeah. Like it is. People fly from all over the world to go there.
Yeah, we took a senior trip out there.
It's unbelievable.
Okay,
we did like Jackson Hole. And then rode over to the Redwoods.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that we're gonna do a ton of mushrooms, but we did mushrooms in the Redwood once, and
it's staggering.
That was
an
adventure.
I've never done that.
Yeah. If you don't believe in God after you go to the Redwoods, then
it's amazing.
It's unbelievable.
Oh, dude, this was horrible. This is one of the regrets I had of doing drugs. So where the path that we were on, it was like 4 mile hike or something, but we kept going north. And we're like 4.2 miles to what? That's what we kept saying, And then a redwood had fallen across the trail. And, this is it. This is 4.2 miles or whatever. And so I climb up on it and I walk down it. And then there was just like, I turned around and it was just like a little valley and all like the ferns and the toxic growth and all that.
Yeah.
And I was right when I was peaking. And I was like,
you're like, this is amazing.
100%. I'm tripping balls. I'm screaming about it. And then my buddies come running. I'm like, shut the fuck up. And there was a family with like a kid that was crossing over the redwood. And then I felt
just
bad.
like, I love mushrooms.
Everything that you just did was exactly what I was doing.
That's so funny.
And then I felt bad, and then the trip went from amazing to
and then you're
horrible.
Like, beat yourself up.
No, it was like a bad one too. Like I thought I for sure had cancer. I had died. Like I went on like way.
Dude, in the Redwoods,
man,
that'd have been epic.
Yeah,
it was an adventure. But
anyways, that's some serious culture shock.
It was, yeah. It
there
was
to a town of basically double.
And it was the year where it snowed so much they shut Fort Collins and Laramie down.
I remember that.
And so we were like, sweet. We didn't have any snow in North. We had to drive 4 hours to Tahoe to get snow. So we were like, this is awesome. We were out like doing donuts and shit and fucking around. The cops told us like, you got to go home, So that was about, I'll say, the end of the bad. And the reason, so I live with a buddy of mine. I had met my ex-wife, up there. She was swimming for the university. I won't go into her too much, but she was swimming for the university. Met her. I'd always bring bodybuilding magazines to school. So I started in the gym when I was 14. Loved it. Did not live the lifestyle, but went to the gym every day.
Yeah. And
I really loved it. I went with my brother. So a friend of mine in my class saw me reading it all the time. He goes, hey, I have a friend, which was her. Her parents compete in bodybuilding. I was like, sweet. Okay. So I met her. We got together, met her parents and their trainer, and they were pushing me to compete. And because I said I want to, and they're like, well, you should, just pick something a year out. I was 18. He said, pick something you're out and do it, And I was like, okay. So I went home. I took all my chew, I dumped it out, threw it away. I took all my alcohol, threw it away, and just cold turkeyed for 10 years.
Wow.
And I just like, I'm good. Like, I want to do this.
That's what it meant something to you.
Yeah. So I got super obsessed with it. And I did 12 shows in 10 years. Yeah, my last show was 2010. I was going through the divorce then. But that teaches you a lot of discipline. You can't mess around when you're getting on stage in like a super small Speedo. Like you can't be dicking around.
Yeah.
So you want to be embarrassing yourself up there. So and then from there, I'll briefly go through the rest, which is I competed, did not touch any alcohol for 10 years. And then after the divorce, I stopped competing. I had a daughter. So we went from Laramie, moved to Fort Collins where her family was. They had a business in Fort Collins. She wanted to get into nursing school. So then we moved to Vegas, moved back to Fort Collins, and then winded up in Ukiah, where I'm from.
Okay.
Got into nursing school, did all that. Then 36 weeks pregnant, she bounced out here.
Wanted to come back out here.
So then without me. So
were you guys were divorced at that point or?
No. It was heading that way.
Gotcha. Okay.
But she decided to come back here. And so then I was working for Coca-Cola. I put in a transfer because I had all the insurance and making the money. And took a year and a half. And then they transferred me out here. In that time, I met my current wife out there who's from more east of Sacramento, more by big trees, but they're like sequoias, the big ones out there. And so we got engaged and she moved with me. So then we're out here. Stopped competing because my ex's family was still involved in it, and I didn't want to do that. Plus, I had a daughter. I had bills to pay. Like, I can't be one of those guys who's like chasing this dream, wasting a ton of money because it's expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest. All the supplements you have to take, all the illegal supplements you take, like it's your life. I was living out of Tupperwares, eating, 6 to 10 meals a day, depending on off season, on season. So did that, and then been out here and went back to like socially drinking, not much, maybe a couple of drinks a night, which then can go either a couple of drinks a night to maybe just Saturdays, and then back to 3 times a week. I started coaching football, so I'd have a drink with some buddies after that practice, and just bouncing around.
Would you say like you're having an addictive personality?
My wife tells me I do.
Do you feel
so I'm
like
like
you
all
do?
or nothing.
Yeah, and that's what I like. I definitely have an addictive personality, but I also have that too. And that's what I'm trying to gather, like starting to gather from your story, is that like you can turn it on and off whenever you want.
Yeah, I think probably helps. I got obsessed with bodybuilding, and I knew you couldn't do both,
for sure,
right? And so I guess when I think about addictive personalities, I think I can't even have a drink again, right? So that I proved myself wrong on that over the last, 12 years, 13 years.
Yeah,
I would just drink socially, and sometimes you would drink more than you wanted to, or whatever, and you regret it, and then, gosh, I just got tired of it. We were at our house in Florida 2 years ago, right after Christmas. And out there, it just like something clicked. And I'd been thinking about it for a while, watched a couple of YouTube videos of these things that are like, this is what happened to me after I stopped drinking. And it was never a story like waking up in bushes, because I don't have those stories. Yeah, it's just crawling down the road, but I always made it home. I always knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
I never blacked out. Never really hungover. That's probably the Native American side of me. I was never hungover. And so it just, out there, I woke up and I was just like, you know what? There's something off. And I went back to the videos I watched. And because I resonated with those, like I didn't, I wouldn't resonate with them if they were a crazy story.
Yeah.
I'd be like, okay, yeah, you probably needed to stop. But for me, I always thought, well, I'm not hungover. I don't feel bad. Like, what's the big deal?
Right.
But then I got kind of selfish on a couple aspects. One, I said, I'm going to the gym every day, 5-6 days a week, and I'm not gaining anything. I'm not getting better. I'm just kind of there. And that's a waste of my time. So what am I doing? What was different when I competed? How did I make gains? At one point I was 280 when I competed. Like what was I doing? Oh, it's this. So then I said, okay, well, I need to cut this out. And then what really did it was I thought about my boys. And I was like, every time I tuck them in, it's the last thing they smell on my breath. And I don't want to be that dad. I do not want to be the dad to buy my kid the first drink. I think that's bullshit. I don't like it. And I just completely 180'd. And I'm not a good communicator. I did not tell my wife. I just put it in my head. I'm not doing this anymore. Well, that was my birthday's January 7th. That was the beginning of January. Did not know she'd planned this big old
Oh, you're good.
secret birthday party for me, surprise birthday party at the tavern. All my buddies knew I loved whiskey. So I didn't tell her until like it was the weekend before. And I told her and she was pissed. You know, she was mad at me, but now I know it came out because when you do things to better yourself, you make people look in the mirror.
Yeah.
And she probably knew that she needed to slow down also, although I never put that on her. You could do whatever you want. I feel like this is best for me. I'm the man of the house. Like I need to do this. I need to set an example. So then we get to the birthday and everybody's handing me bottles of whiskey and then it slowly starts like coming out, you know? And so they're like apologizing. It's like, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's just my choice. But funny enough, one of the videos I watched warned me, when you stop drinking, people disappear. And it is the one drug people will want you to keep doing. And they'll shame you almost for not doing it.
Have you experienced a lot of that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Every friend that I've had over the last 10 years, 12 years out here in Colorado, since the ones that my 12-year-old, when he was 3, met through wrestling, and then I started a football team with them and all that, they've kind of just disappeared. And some of it maybe is kids are busy. Like all of us have kids that are in multiple sports and multiple kids in multiple sports. But we had always still made a point to get together. And I don't hear from anybody.
Dude, it's weird that you say that because I'm kind of going through, I literally made this comment to my wife the other night and now I'm realizing it might be because of alcohol. But I was like, dude, we don't have like any friends.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like the ones that we do have, I don't really care to hang out with them all that much.
Right. Yeah.
You know, we should probably edit that out.
No, because it's truth though, and it's not because of them. And that's what I try to tell my wife, because my wife has to be liked by everybody. She needs to be in a room with 500 people. I don't need people to like me. I'm good. I like a very small circle. But what I tell her is God has put us on a different path now. I love these people. If I see them, I'm super friendly to them. I'll never like be a dick.
Yeah.
But we're just on 2 different paths.
Yeah.
And I'm accepting that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I try to poke things to these people once in a while, but they just don't want to accept it and hear it and want to change. And that's okay. It's your choice. But now I'm very regimented. You know, I get up at 4 every day. I go to the gym. I come home and read the Bible. Then I go about my day. I go back to the gym, work out, and then sports stuff with the kids. I mean, I do the same thing. I eat the same thing every day. And that helps me. So I don't like hanging out till 10, 11, midnight. I don't think there's any point of it. I'm not productive.
Yeah.
Be productive in the morning. So let's go to bed. But if I am going to stay up, I want to be productive. So why don't we get together? Let's talk about real estate. Let's talk about money. Let's talk about business. Let's talk about something. And nobody wants to do it. They want to talk about a football team, or they want to talk about some garbage reality show or something that's just a waste of my time. And I don't mean to be an ass by saying that, but it just is.
But you know what, dude? Like unpack that, right? Because you're right. You know, and it's like you've identified the things in your life that are important to you,
Right.
And a path to get to those things.
Yeah.
You know, and just because like it's very different than everybody else's path. And dude, we live in a world today where people just want to feel good.
Yeah.
You know, no matter what, like whether that's looking at social media to find something that makes them feel that way,
Right.
or alcohol or drugs or, you know,
Hedonism.
whatever. Yeah.
It's temporary pleasures. Yeah.
Dude. And I like, you're actually a guest that I've been excited to bring on because I struggle with self-discipline. Like, and I feel like it's just from years and years and years of doing whatever the fuck I wanted.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not challenging myself to get up in the morning or go to bed at night or
Yeah.
not drink or, like I just never really personally challenged myself until recently, and now it's like, I'm sober and I see all these things that's why self-discipline was one of our pillars.
Yeah.
Right. Because for me personally, it's something that I struggle with immensely. And it's that, dude, like it's just putting those little things into place and doing things just a little bit differently than everybody else, And so, and I have a lot of respect for people. And dude, I was sitting here talking to my wife the other night. It was our anniversary and we were out to dinner and we get on this topic kind of, and I'm like, why, like, if these are the things that we want in our life, why are we doing all of this?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like this doesn't make any sense. And so it's like, if we want this, like we've identified where we want to go. Now we just have to identify how to get there. And then we have to actually do it.
Yeah.
So why would we do all these things and she finally was like, okay, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I have it actually on this. I have a wrestling, like WWF wrestling belt that I have for the football team, that you make a big play or whatever, that you get that. Right. And on it is to have more, you have to become more. And a lot of that is getting rid of. A lot of people ask me, like, what do you do? Some people are weak-minded and don't want to do anything just automatically. And a lot of it's fitness for men. And I say it's not what I do. It's just what I don't do.
Right.
If I did what I wanted, I would probably be like 400 pounds because I love M&Ms and ice cream and hamburgers. I would just eat that all day long, but I don't. So it goes back to the discipline. Like, why are you doing this? And I'm doing it for other people, not myself. Like I could care less. I've done things for myself and it's just a waste of time. So now I like helping people, helping men, women, whatever, through the coaching business that I started. But I just try to give back. I just give as much away for free as I can, because everything that I do may not work for everybody, but it may resonate with a couple, So I'm just telling you what I do.
Yeah.
And it always comes back to discipline, which is why I call it discipline coaching. I coach it through daily habits and training and nutrition. Those are like the three things that will just change your life.
Dude, and it's one of those dichotomies, right? Like, to really have control of your life, you have to be disciplined.
100%.
Like discipline, because my biggest excuse for the longest time was, well, I'm a very spontaneous person and I enjoy being spontaneous, but it's like, okay, but you can't live 100% of the time that way.
Right.
It's super fun. It's great.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, dude, like you don't have any money.
Right.
And, you're not making good choices for yourself. They're not in alignment with what your dreams are.
Yeah.
You know? And so anyways, I'm excited to kind of go through the pillars, and kind of talk about, just talk about them and kind of how and I'm really curious, like, let's start with vulnerability.
Okay.
Like, do you feel like vulnerability was a part of your story? Because I mean, you didn't do the rehab thing, right? It's not like you were sitting.
I was forced to go to AA for my DUI.
Okay.
And I was probably, I'll just be honest, probably the dumbest thing I've ever experienced in my life. I just felt like I was walking into a massive room of weak people, and I never liked it. So I noticed that the instructor was half retarded. And if I went to him and pretended I smoked, I could say, hey, can you sign this card? And I'm going to just go outside and catch a smoke real quick. And he would sign it. Like I was there. I had a ride around the corner and I bounced. So I did. That's how I finished it. So that would never help me. But it also is because if I want to stop, I'm going to stop.
Yeah.
If I want to do something, I'm going to do it.
Yeah. You have that gene that he's got of like, well, this isn't right. I'm just going to fix it.
Yeah. And I think most people can, but what happens is they rely on.
See, and this is where I think the system is broken, right? Because we as a society, we don't flex that muscle very often.
No.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's very uncommon for somebody to be like, oh, I'm going to go to bed right now at 9:30, even though we may have a house full of people. Yeah. Like, no, dude, hanging out with you and having 5 beers right now doesn't serve my overall goal. So good night.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
100%. It's that easy.
But at the same time, socially, you're a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Right?
And you have to accept that.
Exactly. And that's crazy to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. You get very picky on how you spend your time.
Yeah.
And right now, and I know our boys are at a different age and they're at a fun age. I don't like to go on vacations without them. I don't like to.
How old are they?
They're 12 and he'll be 9 on the 2nd of July.
Awesome.
So I love doing everything with them. Now we have stuff to do during the day, our businesses and stuff, but I love coaching them. I hate missing their practices or games or anything. All my time is with my wife and my kids. I love it. Yeah. It's not like I dislike my friends. I have them when we hang out once in a while. But if I'm looking at, okay, what are we going to do tonight? Everybody wants to hang out. What are we doing? That doesn't sound like fun to me. And I guess I'm boring or, like I said, an ass, but I just don't want to participate in that. I don't like doing what everybody else can do and is doing. I don't like going to concerts. I think it's a waste of my time. You're up till midnight doing what? Listening to somebody I can just listen to on YouTube for free?
I'm actually in the same boat on that one. I don't really care much for concerts.
Don't care. My wife's actually trying to get us, we sponsor the Stampede and we always get a couple of tickets and she always wants me to go.
That one I will say we go to every year, and that one is fun.
I would go during the day and take the boys.
Yeah, we go to the rodeo too. Yeah, it's a good time. But right. I'm in the same boat, dude. Like, yeah, and that's what we would do is go to these shows up there and drink.
100%.
Ashley wants to give me some tickets, dude.
Who does?
Ashley has tickets. We'll take them.
Yeah. Normally, I'd have to see what we do.
So anyways, sorry, circling back around to this. So vulnerability, like probably not a requirement for your personality.
No, probably not.
Because I was have that mental grit to be like, yeah, dude, I'm just going to.
But I've also learned things. I think we learn things the hard way, especially men. There's never an easy way to learn it. And I learned at a real quick age, like you fend for yourself. And good or bad, but people disappoint you. Yeah. So I was hardened very early. And so feelings don't play a role in my day at all. I don't care. Like nobody cares about how I feel. If I ask Aaron or Aaron asks me like, how do you feel? And I'm going to sit there and talk about it. He doesn't care. He's asking to be nice. And if I want to talk about it, it's because I'm trying to get like this dopamine hit for 5 minutes, like social media, but nobody really cares. It's just a waste of time. So if I wake up sad or happy or whatever, I still got shit to do. You got to go do them. So that's why I'm not like a therapy person. I think that's a waste of time also, even though my mother-in-law's a therapist. I just,
in your face.
I just disagree with giving my power over to somebody else. If you're my therapist, how are you going to fix me if I don't want to be fixed?
Totally.
So if sitting on this chair, talking about the same thing over and over every week,
right?
And maybe it's drinking or how to stay away from alcohol or these people that want to keep having me drink. Why would talking about that help me? It doesn't. It's just done. We're out.
And you're right, dude. Like,
dude, the other point of view on that, which I agree with you a lot, but back then when I didn't know how to be honest with myself, I somehow had to figure that out.
Yeah.
And therapy got me that. Therapy got me sober. It was once a week for 4 months, 5 months.
And I would say like, you're right. Because there's, dude, I was watching, who was the Republican Speaker of the House like 4 years ago? Super young guy. Or no, he was a Democrat. Sorry. Really young guy.
I should know that.
Ryan was his last name. I can't. Anyways.
No, Paul Ryan was.
That's who I'm thinking of. Wasn't he?
He was Republican.
Was he?
Yeah.
Okay. Paul Ryan. Anyways, I was thinking, but dude, he was being interviewed like, crazy, you're Speaker of the House, youngest, whatever, they're doing this interview on him. And it's like, the guy just asked him nonchalantly. He's like, well, what trauma did you experience in your young age? And it was like, what?
Yeah.
And it was, no, it was his dad died.
Oh, okay.
When he was like 10.
Okay.
Because the interviewer knew like for you to be able to get to this point in your life at such a young age, you had to experience adult trauma at a young age.
Yeah.
Because there's no other way to like get to that mental place at such a young age.
Right.
Right. And so there's that. Like, I think that there are people like that in the world that like, and I'm not saying anything majorly traumatic happened to you, but like it could have been the divorce, and it's like, or your mom working all the time, where it's like, shit, people dude, life is up to fucking me. Like 100%. If I want things, I've got to go get it. Yeah. If I want to be a good athlete, I got to go do it. Like nobody was there in your life at a young age to be like, hey, dude, go this way.
Yeah. No.
And
I had to learn the hard way.
And thank God you had a good enough head on your shoulders to be like, dude, if that was me, bro, I'd be dead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but I didn't have the same experiences that you did, right? Like
Right.
I had two parents that stayed together
Yeah.
that were very wealthy. You know, when I did get in legal trouble, I got bailed out of it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And so it was like the paths are very different, right?
Yeah.
Where you at like 10, 12, 13 years old are like, okay, it's up to me.
Yeah.
You know? And I didn't have that until probably 10 years ago, you know, in my life.
You're right. I mean, I didn't have, so my parents divorced my mom. So when I say my grandpa, he's the only grandpa I knew. My mom's real dad bailed when they were 2.
Yeah.
So she's never really known him. We've seen him in town growing up, but never wanted anything to do. I don't know him. So I know my grandpa that I call, but he was not like, I love you, hug you guy. He was a developer. He had vineyards. He had ranches. He was an ass, I guess. But it taught me, like, he was extremely wealthy. He was probably like a Martin Lynn out here, but he would put cardboard in his shoes. He drove an old car. Him and my grandma lived on this really big mansion up on top of the hill. And when they, I'll say divorced, but they didn't. They said they're too old to. So he just bought a single wide trailer and moved it down this little dirt road and put it on the side of the road and put a big screen TV, and that's all he had. You know, so, and then he would go over to Sacramento. We had a rice farm over there, and in the rice farm, little ponds, we dropped blinds. We had a duck club. And, but all of the money, we never saw it. We weren't like constantly on some money stream from him. He taught me a lot of that stuff, hard work, and a lot of the work ethic came from him and my dad. My dad was a hard worker, but I didn't grow up poor. I would say broke. So we went on an 8th grade trip to DC, and it was $700 at that time. My mom couldn't afford it. So I had to sign a contract with him and for $700 and then work and pay him back, picking grapes for 10 cents a bucket, which was horrible.
But at the same time, dude, that's such a valuable lesson.
100%. But so my point was, so I didn't have that side of it. Everybody on my mom's side was crazy or just hard asses with work.
Yeah.
My dad's side, they were poor. He was 1 of 7. They were really poor. A lot of them drug addicted. Yeah. 2 of them were decent. One was like a highway patrolman. One was, did something in the auto space. They were nice. We didn't see them very much. So I didn't have that side either. And my dad slowly pulled himself out. And in high school, I just stopped seeing him. Last time I saw him in person was 2010. Really? He came out and saw my daughter, or 2011. And then the last text I got from him, I remember this, I started laughing. Maybe that's how hardened I am. I was in Kersey at the football field warming my older son's team up when they were in 3rd grade for football. And I get a text and it's like, I'm not your dad. You need to take a
DNA test or whatever.
DNA test or something. And I just kind of like laugh and put it back in my pocket. I was like, love you. Like, are you drinking? Are you on drugs? I'll pray for you. Like, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Back away. That's the last time I've ever heard of him. So,
damn.
I don't know.
That's crazy.
You know, but so that at that point, it's like nobody's there for you.
Yeah.
And if they are, they might be for a brief, short moment in your life.
Dude, and that's where it's like, I feel like, you know, and it's this balance, right? Because we all have kids, you know, and it's like, I look at my wife and she's very soft for their children.
Supposed to be.
Exactly. But then she gets mad at me for not being, you know, and I'm like, no, like I'm their father.
Yeah.
Period. Like any lesson that they need to learn in life needs to come from me.
Yeah.
Period. So I was like, I'm not in their life to be their friend.
Yeah.
I'm in their life to show them how to manage their lives as adults and be healthy people.
Yeah.
You know, and that's going to require a lot of me being a dick to them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and she's like, do you really want them to feel this way about you? And I'm like, if it makes their life better, yes.
Yeah.
Like I'm willing to sacrifice my life for them. So why would I not sacrifice all of this other stuff?
Yeah. And let's be honest, where we live, there's like zero adversity.
100%,
These kids have
dude.
no idea. And it's funny when we play teams out of Denver or Aurora and we play those in football, it's a completely different culture. Totally. And you see our boys looking over like, what the hell
is going on?
Yeah. And they're like cussing at each other. Kids are cussing at coaches and parents. Everybody's cussing. And then they come out and they want to rip your head off. And I have to sit the boys down, whether it's my 3rd grade team last year or 6th grade team, and say, you're in their way to get out of their situation. They're going to kill you because the only way out of their shack or whatever they go home to, if they go home, is through you, through this sport, through you. Good or bad, that's reality.
See, and that's true too. Like those guys are fighting for something different.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
And my point is, you need to play for something greater than you.
Yes.
If you play for something, if you play for you, you're going to get hit and you're not going to get up. So you have to find something that you can play for that's not you, that's greater, which is typically out going to God, especially when we pray before games, and it kind of works, but I know most of the kids, they don't go home to anything bad, They don't have any bad situations, but you're right. You have to be a dick to a point, like a good dick. Right. Like you got to teach them there's consequences for your actions. I talk to my son all the time. He's going through some friend struggles, my 12-year-old. And I talk to him about life and just, it's hard. Yeah. It's hard. And I tell him good or bad, nobody cares about how you feel. Like men are born with zero value and you have to create it. 100% you have to create your value. Women are born with value because somebody wants to marry them. They're cute. They already start out with some value. Right. But men, you have nothing. And if you're not somebody, if you're not like a productive human being and respected, then nobody cares. Yeah. Nobody's going to care about you. I said, so life's difficult in two ways. Difficult because you're nobody. You're going to sit on the couch and eat Doritos and work at Starbucks, or you're a somebody and it's difficult up there. Yeah. Which one do you want to be? Right. So, dude,
and that's the thing that I keep telling myself too with working out, right? Is like, you're going to be in pain no matter what. Mm-hmm. So you might as well be in some kind of good pain.
Yeah.
You're pain there. That's benefiting you.
So you might as well give it your best, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
but,
vulnerable. No, I would say no.
Yeah. But there's really still, I don't know.
It might be. But
the thing is too, like you can be vulnerable with yourself. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay. And I think that you just mastered that at a young age of like, okay, like these are the things I don't want. I know that. So I'm going to go this way. And I think just knowing yourself that well, maybe that's not vulnerability, but.
Well, anyway. I see what you're saying. I did that. And then I kind of went back to it a little bit. And then I just completely just built a wall in 180. And like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Vulnerability comes from, I researched this word, the Latin vulnus, which means wound. Right. So basically being vulnerable is identifying a wound in your life and then putting a plan in action to make sure that doesn't happen again. Does that make sense?
Which is probably why I was building walls, right? Exactly. Because this side of the family, totally, my dad, people.
Right. And you're like, okay, I don't want that. Like, I don't want to either deal with that wound or I've dealt with that wound and I don't need to go back there. So anyways, second pillar is faith. I can't get them in order.
Accountability.
Thank you.
That one is pure self-accountability for me.
And maybe this one ties into for you, like personal, like self-discipline.
Yeah, I think the self-discipline and self-accountability, because I teach that with people. Too many people try to rely on other people.
Right.
Like, my wife, she's been going to the gym, but before she's like a team person. She needs other people to hold her accountable. Yeah. But if you do that, they're going to fail you.
Yeah.
And that's so when I competed, I would help people get ready for shows and they would want to work out with me and they'd come in all great and blah, blah, blah. And then they slowly just kind of like fall off. Yeah. A couple of them got through a show with me and then like I did all their diets and everything. And then after the show, they kind of just would start falling off every week, less and less, and then just disappear. So I just stopped. I said, I'll work out by myself. I'm fine with that. And I'll hold myself accountable. One is because I competed. I had to get on stage. No one's getting on stage for me. No one's putting that little G-string on for you. Like that's you. So for me in every aspect of life, it always comes back to you. And if you can own everything you do, good and bad, right? Then you will stop the bad. So it's kind of like if it's raining outside and I walk outside and I get wet, that's my fault. Could have grabbed an umbrella. Right.
Yep.
So everything, if you own it and just say that was my fault, accept it, change it, move on.
Because at the end of the day, the only thing that we have control over is ourselves.
That's it. Your mind
and our output and exactly how we engage with the world, how we think, and that's why I like that. I like this too with sobriety, right? Because it's the only way to really look and be like, okay, yeah, I did fuck all this shit up. Mm-hmm. Right. And be like, okay, I'm not going to do that anymore. And it puts you in a place of like, okay, you've got two roads here. Like you're at that V, right? And personal accountability can help you go the right way.
Right. Because again, if you rely on other people, they will fail you.
Totally.
And then what? So then what are you left with?
Yeah. You know, and to speak to that, it's like, you're so right in this. And I even said this to my wife the other day. It's like, you know, if you're requiring other people to help you get to where you're trying to get to, like you're going to be disappointed constantly. Right. So instead of people, what can we create in our life that creates accountability, right? When it comes to sobriety, a podcast, a service group, you know, a group, right? Something that we drive all the time. It doesn't matter if you show up every week, it's still there.
Yeah.
Right. It's still something that we've created that we are responsible for.
Which is doing it for other people.
Exactly,
right?
dude.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And at the same time for yourself, right? I mean, that's where this started.
Yeah. But what happens if you didn't have the group?
I don't know.
You wouldn't.
I would love to think that I would have stayed sober, but I don't know, dude. I didn't go down that road.
Yeah.
You know, like I know myself well enough to say the longer that I got away from the bottle, not the harder, but like if I didn't like, for the first year, I didn't have anything.
Yeah.
Right. And I relapsed in July out of boredom. Right. And I realized that. I'm grateful for that.
Did you have kids? You have kids.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, my daughter was 5 when this whole thing started. She's almost 7. So it's only been 2 years, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like, I don't know, man, like accountability, right? Like I relapsed. It put a lot of things into perspective for me, but it also made me realize like I have to be engaging in something constantly with my mind.
You do, but also you need to sit, and I drive a lot. We have a business up in Cheyenne, and everything gets shut off. And I just talk to God, I pray and do whatever. And I go, but and I know it's easier for me than some people, but when you're in that situation, right, you have to control your mind. It's the only thing you need to have on your team. If your mind's not on your team, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Right. Because you could think of a dog and then switch it to a cat. So if you're going down that boredom road, then you need to say, okay, how can I honor God? How my kids, my wife,
right.
Like they don't deserve that part of me. Right. And that's where I always come back to. Not, I don't need it. I think I just use the word poison, which helps me out a lot, but I won't ever like not walk down an alcohol aisle. That doesn't bug me. You know,
right.
I don't care about it. I can be around anybody drinking. A lot of our, that doesn't bother me. But think of something greater than you,
right?
When you get that temptation. I think a lot of people rely on these other people to talk through it. And sometimes you have to silently just say, no, I have kids. I need to be the best version of me for them. Yep. I need to set the example for them because they're looking at me. And if my boys see me, and go back a little bit, the boys would always, I had this like lime green cup that I was always mix whiskey and Coke in at home. And they would always walk by. What's in your cup, Dad? Can I have a drink? What's in your cup? Yeah. And it was a joke. But then and then they start doing stuff like that at school. And it's like funny, but not funny. Right. And so all of this stuff, like they're being programmed, which I tell people a lot. You have to choose your programming. We don't listen to country music anymore. All it is girls and alcohol. And the boys pick up on that. So it's all Christian music, Christian rap they really like, or even like a Old Testament hardcore Tyson James Christian rap, who I like better than the fruity stuff. But it's every day. What's on TV, which we don't watch much TV. They don't have gaming devices. They don't have phones. So we don't do any of that. We don't listen to the radio because those commercials are garbage. Everything you do is alcohol. Everything you see, right? They normalize the crap out of it. Yep. So I'd not try to keep my kids away from it, but I'm going to program the shit out of them right now and brainwash them. I've got them politically brainwashed. Now I got to keep them this way. And if I can do that, then at least they got a shot. Yeah. But it all starts in me. So if I'm like, oh, it's not that big a deal. I have friends that let their kids listen to Eminem and whatever. It's to each his own. I just think, why are you doing that? Yeah. I get it. I listened to it at a young age and Tupac and all that, but why are you purposely exposing your kids to that? Yeah.
Well, and a lot of times, like a lot of these conversations that we think back on, I've said it 1,000 times, like we came out of an era where it was very much like fuck the system and Rage Against the Machine. And whether you like it or not, that does play a part.
100%.
And you may not think that it does when you're young and invincible and doing whatever you want. But yeah, I mean, it does, man. And there's a lot of times that I look back to that and it's like, we grew up skating and listening to that kind of music. And, you know, it's just that whole environment.
Like the depressive music.
Totally.
You
dude.
know?
Yeah, exactly. And it was hardcore and it was angry. And,
yeah, it was.
You know, and that was totally acceptable. Then you get to and we, you know, I was a pretty good kid in high school. And then I got my big wound was right after high school. And dude, I just went off the rails, man.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like, all right, I'm going to go marry this whole lifestyle.
Yeah.
That looks so attractive.
Yeah.
You know, but.
You said something earlier, though, that when it comes to making up your. Okay, so I'm trying to solve this problem of like when someone's really fucked up and they need to get better, like when they need to stop drinking.
Yeah.
Your answer is very simple. Just stop doing it.
Yeah, and I wish that's
it's very simple, but you have to understand.
It's also not.
So the first time I was young, I was 18, and I was drinking a lot and doing all that, but I wanted to compete in bodybuilding, and I knew I couldn't do that with this. So I stopped for that. The second time, when I was bored, and two, my gym was suffering, but also the biggest was the kids. So that's what I turned to quite a bit.
See, and this takes us right into
finding faith.
Exactly. Yeah. It takes us right into
100% faith. But to your point is you can say it's just simple, which is kind of like, well, it's simple for you, and then find things that make it hard for you. Or you can just switch your mind and say, I don't want to do that anymore. That I have said before, regret is your guideline. So if you're getting hammered and wake up like, I shouldn't have done that, it's God slapping you in the face.
Right.
Yep.
Like, knock it off.
Yeah.
We hear
so when are you going to listen?
You hear people like, I want to quit alcohol, but like, oh my God, like, all my friends drink. How am I going to not drink at this? Or how am I not going to do this and not do all that? And then you said it the best, like, how bad do you want it then? You really don't want to stop then. You
don't want to. And sometimes you have to make the sacrifices, which is that video said, you're going to be alone. People will remove themselves out of your life for it. And you have to be okay with that. So is your health and your kids and your wife and maybe your business or whatever it is that more important than hanging out with your friends, bullshitting and drinking? And I don't think it is.
Dude,
that's the question.
Yeah. And that's where I think this leads into faith,
you
know, where it's like, what do you believe in your life that's bigger than you?
Yeah.
You know, what can you put in front of whatever you're going through to say, this is more important to me than what I'm doing today?
Right.
You know, and it doesn't have to be God. It doesn't have to be, it could be your family. It could be your kids. You know, all you're looking for is something to hold on to that helps you get to step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, you know, and luckily there are guys like you in the world that are like, hey dude, just fucking sack up and do it. You know, and it's like, and there's a lot more people that are like,
but that's just being programmed from, you could say, the system, dude. Society, where it's your feelings. Let's talk about your feelings. Do what you feel like doing. That's bullshit.
I agree.
That's
your
bullshit.
Feelings should be a guideline, right? Like
to a point.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, hey, this is okay. This is not okay. But
that's your morals, right? And given to you from what? God. So it's right and wrong.
Or experiences.
Yeah, and experiences. But it's some people just make it, I think, just overly tough on themselves.
I agree.
As an excuse, which is why I don't like depression. I don't believe in it because I feel it's a crutch to be lazy. I can't do that because I'm depressed. Or you're not doing that, or sorry, you're depressed because you're not doing that. Go to the gym, they'll solve you.
That's 100% a fact.
But
like, I believe that.
Let me clean that up by saying I don't know anything about PTSD. That is a completely different ball game.
Yeah,
I was not in the military. I don't know what they see, firemen, police officers, all that. So that when I say depression, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about these losers that sit at home and say they're depressed because their girlfriend broke up with them. Well, probably because when you got with them, you might have been in a little bit of shape and now you're 50 pounds overweight, fat ass. Why don't you go and hold yourself accountable to your wife?
Yep.
I don't know. That may sound super vain, but I like my wife's eyes in my direction.
It's not vain. It's true. And it's
true.
I mean, it's maybe not delivered in the nicest way, but at the same time,
people need to hear it.
Exactly. And I also think that that's what's wrong with our world is people are afraid to tell the fucking truth.
They are.
But
they don't want to hear the truth.
Dude, and even if you tell the truth nowadays, you might get in fucking trouble for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And all of a sudden your business is getting canceled because you're like, hey, I don't agree with people dressing up as animals.
Yeah.
You know, and biting children. Like, I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
You know, or I don't agree with women or men competing in women's sports.
But what happens is, and I do preach strong bodies, a strong mind, because you cannot have one without the other.
Right.
So if you go to the gym, push yourself physically, then you're going to strengthen your mind. And those people are the ones that will have the power, like men should, and say, no, you're not going to teach my kid that in school. No, you're not going to have these people dress up as girls and read to my kid at the library. No, we're not putting a mask on. Like, when you become more masculine, you become somebody who needs to be convinced. But the problem, what they're doing is they're trying to feminize the whole world, because then you can manipulate them on their feelings.
Totally.
So if you have feminine men, it's by choice they are doing that to then be able to manipulate you and scare you. The whole grandma during COVID thing. Whereas I sat there for 2 weeks, me and my wife, and we said, okay, we'll just hunker down for 2 weeks, see what happens. Then I said, okay, no one's dying in the streets. I still believe people weren't dying from COVID, but convince me why I need to do this or why I shouldn't do that. Nobody can convince you. And that's a true, like, masculine man. We want to be convinced of something. You can't just pull up my feelings and tell me to do something.
Right.
It makes zero sense. I'll never fall into that. So I think when men strengthen their body, strengthen their mind, look like men, look physically like, I say superhero because I'm trying to be that to my boys. Like, I want to look like a superhero. I want to be their superhero. And it's funny because we were in Grand Junction for a baseball tournament last year, just me and he was 11 then. And we were walking through the mall, the indoor mall in between games. And again, I'm not arrogant. I hate arrogance, but this cracked me up and I actually really liked it. Walking through, and there's 3 teenagers that walk by. I think they're teenagers. And he starts laughing. And I'm super observant, but I don't care about teenagers, right? I'm just looking around and seeing who's around us. I just like to know my surroundings. And he starts laughing. He says, I said, what are you laughing at? He goes, did you see the look on their face? They were so scared of you, Dad. And I love it. I feel so safe with you, you know? And I was like,
awesome.
Okay, like, I got it, you know? And again, I'm not trying to be vain, but I like my wife to be attracted to me. I like my kids to look at me like I
think that's
can
vanity,
protect them.
dude. I mean, you're proud of the decisions that you're making in your life. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that.
But it goes back to your faith, is I try to honor God. God created me not to disrespect it. And I feel like you wear your disrespect and your lack of discipline on the outside. People see it. If you walk into a room and you're sloppy, you are just immediately showing you have zero discipline and you don't respect yourself at all. So how am I going to respect you? And that's how I view it. I think life is a mirror. So what I see, everybody else sees. So I need to give off, one, because of the coaching business, but just in general, a masculine feel and show respect and discipline. Therefore, at least I'm not like trying to jam it down your throat, but in a kind of subconscious way, I'm showing it. It makes you think about it. I don't know.
No, that's for sure. I mean, you're absolutely right, dude. Like, and I think too that, like you said, you know, people get standoffish against that because it makes them check themselves, right?
100%.
And people are always like, they don't like it when their flaws are pointed out. And
you know, nobody does.
Yeah, and you can not even say anything, right?
Yeah.
It's just the way that you look and present yourself.
It goes to self accountability. It makes them look and be like, oh, maybe I should be more accountable to myself. That's hard.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. So I'm going to be mad at you and go away from you because I don't want to feel that way. So I'm going to go over here with these guys. They don't make me feel like that.
So let's just touch on the last two real quick, which is community and service, right? Mm-hmm. Those are separate. So we put community in place as one for longevity, right? Because I feel like as we got out of rehab and those rooms and those areas and those places where there's tons of sober people, they just kind of release you into the world and you're like, oh shit.
Right.
You know, now what? So community, I think, was a big piece, like being around like-minded people.
100%.
You know, and how has that transpired in your life?
Well, a couple different ways. When I was competing, I was around people who weren't drinking,
right?
And they were competing, and that was we were all holding ourselves accountable and each other accountable. Then going away from that.
Let me ask you a question on that. Does that make it, in your opinion, not doing the hard thing easier? Does that make, sorry, let me rephrase that. I guess in this example, did it make staying away from alcohol easier to have that group of people around you?
Yeah, I'd probably say yes. But also knowing that without them, I would still compete.
Right.
So if I wanted to drink, I couldn't compete.
Right.
Or at
So
least I
that's where
would not be
you're-
giving it my best.
Right.
And I wanted to at that time I was trying to become a professional.
Yeah.
So
I think a lot of times, though, for most people, yeah.
Yeah, for most people. And that's why I was just curious, because you're going to have people that are listening to this that completely identify with your personality.
Yeah.
Right. And then people like me that are like, oh, shit. Like,
Well, most people aren't alphas, and they need that to feel good about themselves.
yeah.
But here's the other point too. You could take that in any part of your life, even outside of drinking. And this is what I'm telling my son right now is I always tell him, and I feel like, so when you talk about community, I am lacking community at the moment. And I think that's based on me stop drinking, probably being a little bit boring. I don't do a lot of things. I feel like I'm in between. And what I tell my son is you never want to be the top of your friend group. You can be in the middle. You can be self-conscious about something. Somebody makes more money than you. They're more successful than you. Maybe they have more kids than you. Whatever it is, you need to have something to try and better yourself. And then when you get there, now you can keep these friends, but you need to find like a different close group of friends. So we're in between where me and my wife, we want to talk about business all the time. We want to talk about productive things. Some people don't. And I haven't found the group. Like we have a good actual Bible study that I go to every Friday morning. That's mostly business owners, ran by Reza. It's great.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he's amazing. I would like to get into the one on like Tuesday. I think it's Tuesday morning where you have very successful people in the, I won't say their names, very successful people. Yeah, at Coffee House.
Yeah.
But we're not there,
Yeah.
and you could tell.
Yeah.
But you got to get that community, and that community, yeah, you're going to work harder to fit into that community and not do what they're not doing.
Right.
So community will probably make it a hell of a lot easier to stay away from the garbage. Because if you go do the garbage, but your community's not, and then you go back there, they're going to look at you like, dude, stop doing that or get out.
And you naturally, I think it's human nature, right? We naturally end up emulating what we're around, and so it's like, okay, if you want to quit drinking, then stop hanging out with a bunch of people that are drinking.
Yeah.
Like go find a community that's not doing that, or go find a community that's.
But it's also everything else in your life, which is why I said earlier, I don't listen to country music, because you can easily find yourself going, oh yeah, it is Friday. Oh, my team did lose or win or whatever. Like there's an excuse to drink every day of the week, but it's always like, oh, work till Friday and then unproductive for the rest of the time. We'll just go drink all weekend. Right. That's not reality. Yeah, totally. And they don't do that. So what they're singing about and the actors on TV, none of them do what they tell you they're doing. Right. But
it's all
goes into a different point of why did they stop promoting cigarettes, but they promote alcohol? Because you can be productive on tobacco, or nicotine. Nicotine itself is not bad for you. It's the chemicals inside it all. So you can be very, very productive on nicotine. Alcohol, you're not. The world doesn't want you productive. They want you working 9 to 5, go home, sit on the couch, drink your alcohol, and go to bed and do it again and again. Make enough money to pay your taxes and your bills, but not enough to compete with anybody who runs the world, let's say. So that's why they promote alcohol. And it leads to so many more health issues, which then you can get into the big pharma talk, the insurance talk, big food.
It's all tied together.
I made a post on my Forge Discipline that said, I can't even remember. It's like, eat this, drink this, see him, take this. And it's like McDonald's, alcohol, a doctor, pills. Yeah. Instead, you need to live your life correctly, and God is a huge part of that. So anyways, that's
awesome, dude. And what about service is the last one? Like serving your community, serving your fellow man. Like
I could probably be better at it, but that's why I kind of went down this road of the business. So for a lot of people would approach me wherever I lived about the gym, and I would always just give advice because I don't like the typical meathead conversation like about bench pressing. I don't like talking about that stuff. But if people have questions, I love answering them and helping people.
So you're a solutions driven guy. Like, it's like, okay, here's the problem. This is the solution. Let's get after it.
Yeah. If you want to, I'll help you. But if you don't, I have zero patience for it. So I personal trained when the gym I go to now was over by the charter school in the industrial building at the end of the cul-de-sac. It was like Windsor Health Club. And I realized real quick, they come see me twice a week. Then they go stop by McDonald's on the way home. Nobody's happy. I'm wasting my time. So I was like, I'm not personal training anymore. This is a waste of my, this is stupid. Brad, who owns the gym I go to now, approached me to train at his gym. And so I did. I signed up, and if I have clients, I have clients. But the business I started was really just to help people create the best version of them. And forever, even still now, I don't even say, oh, if you want my advice, here's my card, like scan the QR code and sign up and then pay me monthly and I'll give it to you. No, I don't care where we are. It could be 4 a.m, like I did the other morning, walking on the treadmill. And I'm just like constantly drink salt water in the morning. I know your doctor's going to tell you not to, but do it. As long as it's not table salt, but drink this, only eat eggs, meat, cheese, berries, and I just tell people, just try it for like a week and then extend that to a month. And I just constantly just give free advice. And I feel like if you put that into the universe, God will reward you.
Absolutely.
Whether it's financial or not financial, it doesn't have to be financial. Right. And I may have this conversation and let's just pretend we never see each other again, but something I said sparked a change in you. And I would never know that. Doesn't matter. Right. We had the conversation and maybe it helps you somewhere. I don't need any of the accolades for it.
And it's funny too. Like I think about this podcast, right? And that's kind of like I think we started this because I was just tired of sitting on the sideline.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm done accepting things for just what they are. Like I'm going to go challenge the status quo. Mm-hmm. We're going to go disrupt whatever we can.
100%. And you are, because what you're doing on the podcast is going against, like we just talked about, all of the advertising.
Exactly. And that's what I love about it. That's what I love about it, dude. It's motivating, and it's like I constantly am identifying myself as like a social disruptor. I'm like, you know what? Like, this is what we're told. Like you said, why? That's bullshit.
Yeah. I just want people to ask why. Who told it to you? Why did they tell you? And do they have your best interest in mind? Exactly. I tell my 12-year-old that. Yep. Think about that. And you pretty much answer, that was bullshit every time.
Every single time, dude. And it's just like, what, and I think it comes like, we have these pillars in place in this specific order, right? Because it's supposed to help you identify who God created you to be, right? And it's like, okay, laying down the addiction, that's where the vulnerability comes in, right? Like, I'm going to be vulnerable enough to lay this thing down, identify the issues, right? And then you go from there to, give me a second, faith, personal accountability.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, now to get to the next stage, I have to take accountability for the things that happen in my life, right? Okay, how do I do that? Faith. You got to have faith in something bigger than yourself.
Okay, let me ask you this though, on your order, and this did not happen with me. Like, I didn't get really deep into. I grew up I went to Catholic school till 3rd grade, right? But then I went completely away. I always believed in God, but I went away from it. I'm not a big church. I don't really believe in you have to go to church. Like, I live my life a certain way. I like church for the community aspect, for my boys, and I really want a church. I feel like I don't care if it's being recorded. I feel like churches are extremely weak, and where we are in this world, you need to be very black and white. But pastors do not want to do that. They want the numbers in the room. And so I guess my point to you, because it did not happen to me, but how come faith wasn't number one?
Because I feel like it turns too many people off. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if you have to go in, and it's guys like Aaron, like you, right, that are like, I'm not going to give myself up to something else, something that I don't necessarily see or believe in. And I don't want to shove my belief system down people's throat, and I'm really basing this off of my experience.
But dude, faith isn't, our faith is one thing, but I didn't have God. And I got sober and my faith was Naya. And it's really funny. And I'm not saying we necessarily need to change it.
This is another reason why it's number 3. What you're about to say.
Well, it was Naya. Like,
that's exactly what, it's not necessarily God for everybody.
And it was them, but it was someone bigger than myself. But that's what got it. Mm-hmm. And then I was able to be vulnerable because then I could be honest with her and like, go look at my car, see how fucked up it really is.
Yeah.
And that was being accountable. Well, yeah.
Dude, that's a good man.
Yeah, dude, like his story.
I was not communicative like that. I tried chewing again. I tried to hide it. And my
Dude,
wife drove my truck one day and she goes, some smells, because I was gutting it. So I had the flavored stuff. She goes, some smells in here. She grabbed my spinner and smelled it. And you would have thought I cheated on her. Oh, she was pissed.
She's dumping on you.
No, she just came home and ripped me. She was so mad. So bad. Yeah, that's why I was asking.
No,
It's interesting.
It's a good question. One, I feel like in the world that we live in, the reason that people struggle so much with Christ is,
Fucking myself, get a helmet.
well, it's because it requires something of you. And if you're going to reach, I don't know. I mean, it's a good question. It's definitely something that I'm going to walk away and think about now. But
I agree. Like, if you have it number one, well, I don't think it was God who changed you.
No, it wasn't.
Okay, so 3 people in this room, it was not, right? God is ultimately number one in my life.
Absolutely.
But it's not what is stupid bodybuilding, which took me out of the worst part of my life.
I think
then it's my kids given from God. But I asked that only because I was curious to know how many stories actually like had this moment of Christ, and then it's like, oh, I'm not supposed to do that, because I don't think it's a lot.
I would say it's a very small percentage. And I'm very much like you in the sense of, like, I believe throughout my entire life, I've always believed that Jesus died on the cross and that I was going to heaven because I believed in that and I accepted that. Right? Did I always live my life in congruence with that? No. And there was a dude, when I was 19 years old, I even remember looking up and being like, fuck you, I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was like, I knew in my life that it was real enough to where I had to actually turn my back on it.
Yeah.
Right. And so it was always there. But when I started in sobriety, dude, we have to go seek God. God is only going to meet you halfway. Right. And so it's like, how do we get to that place? We have to work on ourselves first. Right. We have to identify the issues in our lives, the things that we're trying to take to God, to be like, hey, man, these are the things that are busted in me. This is what I need your help with.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like, how do we do that? And I think by vulnerability, like, I always use the analogy of a pane of glass, right? Like, I felt like I was glass, got to hit it with a hammer, and all these pieces fell. Right. And now it's like, okay, through vulnerability, I don't want these pieces anymore. Right. I'm going to take these pieces and start to rebuild myself. And that's what I did through vulnerability, through personal accountability, by taking ownership of the things that I did do wrong in my life. And then ultimately those 2 steps led me right back to God, and it was like, okay, these are the things that are broken. These things over here, I don't want to be a part of my life anymore. Yeah. These are the things I'm giving to you. These are the things that I'm going to fight against. So, right, I identified my battle, right? And then I took my battle to God.
Funny how it's third, but ultimately it's first, because you're identifying right and wrong. Where do you get right and wrong from? God. Right? Like, this is hedonism. This is Satan, the temporary pleasures that mean nothing.
But if I'm going to speak to general masses on this topic, right? Yeah. Like, I put God number one, automatically, dude, I'm going to turn people off.
Yeah, and that's more of a mirror issue, right?
Totally.
Because everybody, for the most part, common sense people can admit that why we are where we are in the world is because they're removing God.
Absolutely.
Out of the schools, out of the world, everywhere we go. Now it's your truth and my truth and your truth. And it's like the truth,
right? 100%. And I totally agree with that. And, in my path, it was like that, it was like, okay, now I know exactly what my battle looks like, but you're right. I guess in that sense, like, faith was always number one for me. I never struggled with being in an AA room and saying like, hey, I've got to hand this stuff over to God. I just didn't necessarily know what those things were.
Right. Yeah.
And so through that work of rehab and breaking myself down, I was able to figure that out.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's like, okay, faith, it goes into, community. Let's build a community. Yeah. Let's serve that community, and let's take, self-discipline. Let's use self-discipline to continue doing all of these things as we move on.
Yeah.
So that's kind of but that's a great question, dude. I love that. And it definitely was like, oh shit, why did I do that?
Yeah.
But
it'll make you think.
So to wrap this up, we always ask everybody, like, what's the one big nugget of wisdom that you want to leave? Like, if you had to say anything that you wanted people to hear, what would it be?
Well, first, seek God. That'd be number one. I don't think you can do much you can't do anything without him. think both of us just talked about how hard that was. Well, we learned that the hard way. But other than that, I just feel like you give your best and try to be the best version of you that you can absolutely be. And then just give that away to everybody. That's what they deserve.
Love that.
Your family,
Yeah.
First, but everybody you come in contact with. And I say that, I still struggle with that, but I think that's 100% true. Become the best version of you. And I think that goes into, as I said earlier with to have more, you got to become more. So it goes into this other quote that I've told somebody in the gym. You work on your job, you can make a living, but if you work on yourself, you can make a fortune. Right. And I think that fortune, you can just give that away, not a money fortune.
Yeah.
Right. But you just give that away and lead by example. I think people will follow. I think they need that.
Yeah.
And you're not always having to preach it.
That's awesome, dude. I totally agree with you.
That's about it. Other than that, the only last thing I say is I have a equation that I let people build the best version of them. And it's discipline plus consistency plus self-accountability. And then you multiply that by training, nutrition, and daily habits. And that right there, if you run that equation every day, it'll give you the best version of you.
I love it. So I'm going to write that one down. Look at it every day. Well, Spencer, dude, I just want to say thanks for taking the time to do this, man. You've got a lot of
thank you guys
insight. And yeah, dude, I love the grit for sure.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
But absolutely.
So where can people find you, now that they need all this discipline coaching, because they're all looking at the mirror like, fuck, I'm fat.
Yeah, I'm like, come on, noodles.
forgediscipline.com. At Forge Discipline is YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I'm at the local gym, Onyx. I do things out of there.
Yeah, so, for those that maybe didn't hear that, it's Forge, Forge
D.
Yeah. And I, to give you credibility, man, it's, a lot of that stuff stuck with me, and I've known you for a long time, and, it's unapologetic. It's just honesty. And sometimes that hits people the wrong way. But
I'll tell you this, dude, just sitting here, like looking at you and knowing like my workout habits and stuff like that, like it's human nature, right? You automatically feel bad about yourself.
But you shouldn't.
Exactly.
Because the working out is the easy part. I think what people lack is what are you doing outside of there? Yeah. And a lot of people don't understand. I literally, up until last week, eat one time a day. And but you're just doing the right things and not doing the wrong things. Right? That's all. And it just works together.
Focus on, I think that's one of the things I'm taking away of this that we've had a lot of conversations, especially lately, but I think the one thing I took away is not doing or paying attention to what you're not doing.
Yeah.
Don't doing certain things.
Yeah. Well, and also I want to add into this, like, I think as people, we always think about the end goal, right? And we focus so much on the end goal and forget that there's no, you got to actually go climb the mountain, right? All of this stuff happens with small incremental change.
It does.
Every day.
It's like our sober group, dude. That's meeting today. Like, cool, we want it to happen, but what have we done to get people there?
Right.
Yeah. And all those people should start being okay with the lack of people around you. Right. Stop trying to please everybody and doing this because everybody wants you to do it or drinking this because everybody else is doing it, right? You got to be okay with who you are and stand up for it. And you could be the only one in the room.
Dude, and that's the thing. Like, there's been times where it was like we showed up for volunteer stuff and I was the only one there, or me and Morgan or me and Aaron. And it's like eventually, and I told Morgan, she's like, does that upset you? And I'm like, not really, because what we're doing is so upstream, it's against the status quo of everything else. So it's going to take time for people to latch onto that.
100%.
And all we got to do is just keep walking into the space unapologetically and blast it wherever we can. And eventually it'll catch on.
Yeah.
When the time is right. So, well, dude, thank you so much for your time today.